morning, good evening, good afternoon to wherever it is that you are and whatever time zone it is that you're in right now this day. Today, we're very honored and blessed to have our special friend, Phil Kranz, join us from Black Dog Indie Country. Phil Kranz is a supporter of many different indie artists, and he hosts his own shows. So definitely, he's looking for more guests on his shows, and we love working with Phil Kranz. So thank you for joining us, Phil. Welcome.
Hi.
Hi, Phil.
Well, I took the country part out.
Oh, okay. Yay, that's even better. So that means that on Black Dog Indie Radio, you play all genres, correct?
That's right. That's right. I play all genres on my show.
As long as it's good music, right?
As long as it's good music, yes.
And good people. Good people are important.
Good people are important. That's
Okay. Hey, Phil, how'd you get started in music? And when did you want to know you wanted to be a DJ?
I think I got dropped on my head one too many times when I was a kid, which made me want to do music. No, I got into music when I was in college. Well, I've always been in music. I got into music when I was 6 years old.
Ah, and what'd you get into when you were 6 years old?
Well, funny story. I remember I was 6 years old and I was in the car with my mom, and the Rooftop Singers Walk Right In was on the radio, and she was going to change the station, and I'm like, no, don't change it. And I said, just listen to it. Just listen to it. And she's looking at me like, who the hell are you? And what did you do with my son? So flash forward a couple of years later, I think I was 8 years old, and I went with my sister to the record store for the first time, and I fell in love with the record stores. Just something about the music, the sound, the smell. You know, nothing quite smelled like a record store with the vinyl and the cellophane.
No, it didn't.
And my sister I was with her when she bought the record from the Hondells.
Oh, wow.
Honda. And I stole it because the flip side was Hot Rod High, and I wore it out, and she really got mad at me. So then the next year, when I was, I think, 8 or 9 years old, I walked myself to the record store, and I bought my first 45, and that was in 1965. And I guess that would have made me 8 years old. And I still remember the first 45 I bought, and that was The Outsiders, Time Won't Let Me.
Nice.
What was really sad is I'm 8, 9 years old, and the owner of the record store knew me by name. That's really scary. It really is. So, my parents would go out on dates on Saturday night, and my sister was older than me, and she would go out, and they'd leave me at home alone. And I would walk myself to the record store and just hang out at the record store all night long. And we would listen to music and talk music theory. And I'm 8, 9 years old and talking music theory to the owner of the record store. I had no life.
Well, I don't know. Maybe you had a really good life, because I love music too, right? It's just a different life.
Well, when I was in college, I worked for the college radio station and the newspaper. I didn't have a radio show. I was a floater. So whenever somebody couldn't come in and do their show, I would do their show for them, which worked out great for me, because if I screwed up, I had the excuse, I didn't know what their format was. Don't blame me. So then after college, I worked in newspapers for a while, and then...
Play your song or else?
No, I talk an opinion, and I still remember the first death threat, and I called up the program director, and I said, I just got a death threat. And he said, well, you're doing something right. And I said, what do I do? He says, call the cops, report it. He said, 9 out of 10 times they never follow through. I said, what about the 10th time? He said, well, we'll give you a nice eulogy. So it
Nice.
Thank you very much. And as soon as they walked out, it'd go in the trash. So then when I came down to Georgia, I was offered the morning slot at the local radio station, which started out as talk and opinion and news, and it eventually morphed into indie music, and that kind of took over the show. So then they had a format change, and they fired me from my morning show. I'm still doing stuff over at the radio station, and I'm good friends with the owner. We go out to lunch almost every day. And he asked me, he said, "How come you don't do your morning show here?" I said, "I did. You remember when you fired me?" And he said, "Oh, yeah, that's right." So switch from the radio station in the morning to doing it on the internet, and I kind of like it better because instead of having an hour, I'd have to leave the house at 6 o'clock in the morning to start my 7 a.m. show. And it took me a half hour to get there and then half hour prep. And so, plus I had to get dressed. So I don't have to get dressed to do the internet, and I could be on the air. I could wake up and 5 minutes later I could be on the air. But I love music. It's a passion, and I love talking to people.
Guilty as charged. I think I've been on your show, on the morning show, in my house coat with a cup of coffee.
See, isn't it? You don't be dressed when you're doing strictly audio. And I get people all the time that ask, "Hey, is it audio or is it video?" I'm like, "No, it's audio. I got a face made for radio, and you don't want to see what I look like at 8 o'clock in the morning."
Well, thank you for joining us this morning on video.
Brushed my hair.
Whoa!
You get the queen treatment this morning from me.
Well, I feel very honored and privileged. Thank you, Phil.
Everybody does, I'm telling you. So
I had a sour too.
And I'm an open book. You ask me whatever you want to know about me.
All right. So you were always in the record store.
Artists, definitely. I love talking to people, and I love talking to the artists.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm making friends with them because it's just fun listening to all different ideas and how. I mean, I love the music, but the thing I really love about music is the backstory, how a song came to be, what the inspiration, what they were thinking of. To me, that's the biggest thing.
It is a pretty cool process to learn about that backstory.
It really is, because you get to learn what their thinking was, where they were at that particular moment, where their mind was. So it's a really cool thing.
Mm-hmm. And I know that you and I have some favorite artists in common.
We do.
Yeah. There's good old Suzi Quatro. Did you ever get a chance to interview Suzi Quatro?
I did.
Really?
She was the second record I ever bought in 1965, because the owner of the record store, he knew I was into obscure music, because I was the kid who would go and I would buy the 45s, and the first thing I would do is play the B-side, because I already knew what the A-side was. So he knew I was into music that not everybody else was into. So in 1965, he said, and he used to just give me 45s, and he'd say, "Here, take them home, listen to them. If you like them, next time you come in, pay me for them. If you don't like them, just bring them back," because he always got early releases. So I was in there, and he said, "Hey, I got this one band. They're out of Detroit. It's an all-girl band. Don't know if anything's ever going to come of them, but listen to the lead singer and the bass players. There might be something there." And it was the Pleasure Seekers with "What a Way to Die." And so I took it home, and I fell in love with her right away. And so I've been in love with Suzi Quatro since I was 1965. So a couple of years ago, I was able to get an interview with her. And she lives out in the UK now, and my friend's the one who set up the interview. And she said, "Why does he want to talk to me? I don't do country music." And he said, "Well, because he's been following you since 1965. And she said, "That's a good reason." So when I talked to her, she said, "How have you been following me since 1965? And I said, "The Pleasure Seekers, hello, what a way to die." And she said, "You've heard that?" I said, "I've got that." She said, "You got the 45? I said, "Yes." She said, "I think you're the only one." So, yeah, I've always been into obscure music. I think that's why I fell in love with the indie scene, because it's music that you won't hear on mainstream. And I still contend that there is more talent in the indie scene than mainstream, 1,000 times down.
Well, there seems to be a heartbeat and a creativity that isn't suppressed by what gets on the radio.
Well, I think the big thing between mainstream and indie is mainstream is all style over substance. Doesn't matter if you can sing, doesn't matter if you have any talent at all. It's all about how you look. Don't worry if you sound like a dying duck. We've got auto tune to fix it. Just don't ever piss off your sound engineer. But the thing about indie is it doesn't matter what you look like, how old you are, where you're from. The talent is the main thing. This is true, but no, I just love the indie scene. I just think the music is so much better. They get to do what they want to do. They don't have to follow a certain script. Music is kind of like movies. You remember when the slasher movies first came out, when you had Halloween, Friday the 13th, and all those, and everybody started making the same type of movies. And that's kind of like you get one person out there who has a song, and all of a sudden everybody else is doing the same type of music, and it's
Same
like
style. Same style.
You take 10 songs, overlay them, and they're all exactly the same. The only difference is some of the words might be changed. And I'm still firmly convinced that there's some guy sitting in a windowless room with a green visor on his head just writing songs. It's the same song for everybody. And you've got a line of artists, mainstream artists, just standing in line, and he's handing them the song, saying, here's your song, here's your song, here's your song. And they're all the same.
So I guess what you really enjoy the most would be the backstory and how the indie artist came to be and how the indie artist comes to write the songs, right? It's a very organic thing, writing a song.
80% of the indie artists, they write their own music or they collaborate with somebody else. We're mainstream. Most of these mainstream artists, they couldn't write a song to save their life, and they've got other people writing the music for them.
Yeah. Well, as an indie artist, I actually have collaborators that do the music writing and I do the lyrics.
But you're involved in it. There's a lot of out there in mainstream. They're not involved in any of the process. The only thing they're just singing it.
In the indie world, I'm actually pretty excited to see all the collaborations that are happening, especially the worldwide collaborations, because, I've always felt that music is a way to be a bridge to bring together people and give peace a chance, eh? What do you think?
No, I totally agree. I mean, music, it's a universal language.
Yeah. So in terms of radio, what would you say some of the biggest successes have been in your radio career?
Just having people listen to me. I mean, that's and being able to play artists, because, there's a whole lot of artists who I played. I was the first one to play them. And some of them are still going strong, and some of them actually even remember that I was the first one to play them. Audience.
That's a pretty nice story. Thank you, Phil, for doing that for artists. And I think you also like to be the first person to get a new single too, right? You like to be the first person to play it on the radio. And so
I love new music. I really do. To me, that's the greatest honor, and I don't take it lightly. I really respect the artists, and I'm humbled when they offer me the opportunity to be the first one to play them.
It's like opening a special gift, isn't it?
It is. And, the show's not about me. That's why it's called the Black Dog Show, not the Phil Show, because it's not me. It's all about the artist. It's all about the music. It's not about me. And that's why even when I'm talking or when I'm typing something, it's never me or I. It's always we.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not the show. The music is the show.
Yes, definitely. You do a really nice job of putting the artist first. Thank you, Phil.
Well, that's the way it should be.
Black Dog. How'd you come up with that name?
Oh, God.
Did you have a black dog?
I was self-employed for 30 years. I had a detail and restoration shop, ProCare. And then when I got into running and promoting car shows, I was trying to come up with a name for that business. And I had a black lab midnight. And so I'm sitting there trying to figure out what am I going to name the business. And at first I was thinking Black Lab, and I'm like, nah, that's not going to work. So I just said Black Dog. And so running the car shows, it was Black Dog Promotions. And nobody ever called me by my name. People would see me and they just yell, "Hey, Black Dog." And so when I got back into music down here, I just figured, hey, might as well just keep the Black Dog name going because it worked so well for me for all those years. So there it is.
Nice.
All these years later, and it's still Black Dog.
So that is after your black dog named Midnight.
Is that it? Yes, it is.
Nice.
Yes, but I kind of like it because people just refer to me as Black Dog.
Nice.
I'm fine with it.
You've always had dogs. Is that right, Phil?
Since I think I was 4 years old, we've always had dogs.
Nice. Dogs are the greatest companions.
I couldn't imagine life without a dog.
It's pretty tough without a dog, yeah.
It is. It gets boring and lonely.
It does, so you have to borrow others.
Like you. I mean, you get your doggy fix all the time.
Yeah. I got 5 dogs that come and stay with me. Yeah. Music, what would be your biggest learning moment?
As far as what?
Hang on a sec. Something that taught you a lesson about music, about the artist, about yourself. A lesson that you learned. What was your biggest aha moment?
I mean, pretty much everybody I deal with are artists.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say that's 99% of my friends are artists, they're musicians, singers, songwriters. So, I mean, I'm in the middle of all of them. I got a friend of mine, he was in Ohio, he was a singer-songwriter, and I used to play his music all the time, and he turned me on to a whole slew of artists, and he would always call me up and say, I got somebody I want you to talk to. And he said, one time he said, like it or not, you're one of us. And I said, I'm not a singer, I'm not a songwriter. He said, no, but you play our music and you support us. He said, in the indie scene, it's a small family, and like it or not, you're one of us. Pride that they're going to write a song, go to the studio, pay money to get a song recorded, and then go and promote the music, and then send it out to people. Who am I to say whether the song is any good or not? I might not like it, but somebody else out there might.
Well, music is interesting because music appeals to who knows who, for who knows why. People just write the songs because it's part of who they are, and they want to get the song released and get the words out there. But yeah, you never really know who you're going to be able to count on to listen to a song.
He likes it. And then there's songs that I'm like, it's okay. I won't do backflips over it, but everybody loves it. So, I mean, there's no rhyme or reason to it. And the thing I love, I guess the biggest thing I really love is when somebody writes a song and it's from the heart, that it's from something personal that happened to them. Because the heart tend to do a whole lot better than somebody just sitting down writing words and singing them.
Mm-hmm.
There really are, and so many great artists.
Mm-hmm.
Some come, some go, and some stick around for a long time, and others, they do one song and then you never hear from them again.
And some of them you just can't get rid of, right?
No, that's me. I'm like, gonna mean. But
okay. If you could give yourself some advice 20 years ago, knowing what you know now, what would you give your advice to yourself?
I'd listen to my dad and become an accountant. Now, the music business, the radio industry has changed a whole lot since I got into it back in college. The whole industry's totally changed, because when I got into it, it was still 45s and albums and carts, and everything now is all digital.
Well, back then, didn't they even have the 8-track tapes for your
We
car radio?
we had carts, which was like an 8-track tape of a turn, so it would start and it wouldn't pop. And then you'd always have the knob that would have to put a penny on top of the arm, and it'd be like, oh, yeah, let's just do that so we can destroy the record and groove into it.
Uh-huh.
But it was fun, and the controls were totally different back then. And I think one of the thing I really love about today, as opposed to the old days, is back then we recorded all the shows on reel to reel, and so if you had to splice, it was a nightmare taking a razor blade and splicing and taping, and it would take forever because you had to record every show that you did.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is, back then you also had to write down your entire playlist for the FCC in case they decided they were going to monitor you and listen to one of your shows, and you had to have the list of everything that you did, and God help you if you inverted one of them, because that was a fine.
Yeah.
So it's a lot easier today because everything is all digital, it's all computerized. So you don't need the 45s, you don't need reel to reel. So anybody can have a radio station today. It's not like back in the day where you needed a physical building with an antenna and all the controls.
Well, those kind of radio stations do still exist, right?
You do.
And they do still pay royalties. On the internet, do you pay royalties on the internet?
Indie artists don't get royalties because indie stations are not reporting stations.
Okay.
And an indie artist, in order for your song to get any kind of royalties, your song has to be spun 100,000 times on internet before you ever see a dime of royalties. And since none of the radio indie stations pay royalties, now they pay royalties for streaming.
Right.
But they don't pay royalties for radio play because there's no way that you can monitor it.
Right.
Now, FM, your song has to be spun 50,000 times before you see royalties.
Right.
Now, that's on terrestrial. Now, subscription radio is probably different than that.
Well, there's so many different types of radio now. There's internet radio, there's terrestrial radio, there's satellite radio.
Which is subscription radio.
And then there is website radio as well. So I guess that'd be internet radio.
That'd be internet radio, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, the whole streaming idea is entirely changed. But I do know that if you don't have the right format, for example, you can't get into Europe or internationally. There's different standards. There's the North American standard, and then there's the European standard. So if you're only available in the North American standard, you can only get played in North America. You actually have to reformat your song to go to Europe.
And they're understand the radio industry. They hate indie music. The radio industry, they really do.
We have Canadians. We have like a special little spot, and we can put 5-10% indie artists on. So Canadian radio stations actually have a lot stronger play for indie radios or for indie artists. And I've seen it happen where they've been playing in the Canadian radio stations and then they get USA play. But I've heard from some of the DJs in the United States that there's 6 big stations, and if you don't pay those stations, you never get considered to be played. Is that true, or is that some kind of
major players in terrestrial radio in the States? They're all reporting stations, and you're talking iHeart, Audacity, Cumulus. This song a listen, and you'd be like, yeah, I gave it to my program director. He really likes it, but we can't play it because they're not signed by a major label. They'll play indie music, local music, but outside of that, no, you're not getting radio play.
Now, is that current, or is that the way that it used to be? Because I've seen that some people are getting plays nowadays.
You might get played on an FM station, but if they're a reporting station, they're not going to play it. Because reporting stations are pretty much owned by the major labels.
Right. So the six station thing is true.
It is true. And with internet radio now, they keep trying to screw everything up, and so now they're saying some of the internet radio stations, they're trying to change the laws to make it even harder for internet stations to play in Europe now. The money's at. But remember, radio was never meant to be a moneymaker for the artists. Radio started out where they would play an artist's songs. If the artist was coming to town, if they were doing a concert, the local radio station would play their music so that the people would know who was coming to town. And they knew the music, and so they would go and they'd get tickets to the concert. But it was never meant to be a moneymaker. I mean, artists, even the 60s and the 70s, never made money on radio play.
I've heard that some of the radio stations will accept like $50,000 to $100,000 per radio station to play songs.
They used to do that. That's called payola, and that's illegal.
Yeah, I thought that was illegal. So somebody's asking you to pay that kind of money to get plays, that's not truthful.
If somebody's asking you to subscribe, to give them a donation for your radio station, that's illegal. You can't ask for a dime to play somebody.
Right, but you can purchase the opportunity to be presented through DMDS, and DMDS will present these songs to all the radio stations, and then it is up to the programmer's choice to play them or not play them.
Yeah,
if you're labeled.
One of the things that really gets me upset is that there's a whole slew of internet radio stations out there that they'll put a tip jar up and say, hey, donations, send us a tip, help us keep the station going. And I've never subscribed to that because, number one, if you can't afford to pay for your station, don't do it. And I never liked the idea of asking artists to pay to play your music. And I've had people who have said, hey, you got a tip jar? I'm like, no.
Well, traditionally speaking, wasn't it advertising that would pay a lot of the radio expenses?
That's how radio stations existed, was from advertising.
Right. So you sell the advertising and then you get paid for that and then you can play your music, right?
Yeah. But it was always up to the program director what music you were going to play. Most DJs never had the opportunity to pick and choose what they wanted to play. The music was already formatted. And so back in the day, it was 45s, and they all had a clock that they went by. And the program director, he would pick out what songs you were playing and what. The DJ really never had a choice. Now, sometimes if you were a big time DJ, if you were, in the top one or two DJs in your market,
well, those B-sides used to be pretty good. I loved those B-sides in the 45s.
Well, funny thing is, Lulu in 1967, when she came out with To Sir With Love, that song never charted. That was the B-side. And the A side, I forget what it was, but that was a top 10 hit for Lulu in 1967. And it didn't do anything until some DJs in the States flipped it over and started playing the B side. And To Sir With Love became the biggest song in 1967. It was on the chart, number one on the charts for 4 weeks.
Nice.
And that was because some DJs decided to play the B side.
For the interview today. And I normally turn it off. And yeah. But I like to keep my grandfather clock on because it keeps me company in the house.
Okay.
Well, I can hear it tick, 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 and it makes me feel comforted. I don't think it's a bomb or anything like that. I just feel comforted when I hear it's tick, 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 tick. And then it chimes. It's got a beautiful chime. All right. So in terms of entertainment, Phil, what entertains you? I think it's probably safe to say it'd be music. So we're going to venture off into the other things in life. Outside of the States?
Nope. I lived in Texas for a year and a half. I guess that was another part of the world for me.
Now, was that when you were an ex? Because, all them exes, they go to Texas. right?
I spent a year and a half in Texas. I went down to Texas after college. That was my first job in Temple, Texas, working for the newspaper.
So you weren't an ex at that time.
No.
Just checking. And
No.
then if you speak to Ella Langley, well, I could tell she was from Texas. The way he was two-stepping around that room.
No. I've always lived in the States.
Nice.
I've been to Canada. I've visited Canada a couple of times.
I hear you've actually been to Vancouver, British Columbia.
No, I've never been to British Columbia. I've been to Toronto and Montreal.
Ah, I see.
And I've been to Ontario.
Nice.
So British Columbia and Alberta, that's on my bucket list. Is in not the resort areas. I've been to real Mexico.
Nice. What part of real Mexico were you in?
Reynosa.
Reynosa?
Yeah, which is just on the other side of the border from McAllen, Texas.
Nice. And did you stay in a resort or did you stay?
We only went there for a few hours because I went down to visit my friend who lived in Mission, Texas, which is right next to McAllen. And so his girlfriend picked me up from the airport, and she was born in Texas, but she's from Mexico originally. Her family is from Mexico. So she said, "Hey, do you want to go to Mexico?" And I said, "Sure, let's go to Mexico." So we drove across the bridge, went into Mexico, and we were walking around. Her aunt owned a restaurant down there, so we had lunch. And we walked around the town, and there were federales walking around, and I had my camera out, and my friend's girlfriend looks at me and says, "Put the camera away unless you want to find out what a Mexican jail is like." And I'm like, "No, I really don't want to." And she put the camera away because they'll arrest you if you take a picture of them.
Wow.
You expect certain things. You expect every city to be exactly the same with the sewers and the water and the buildings and everything, but you go down there and it's completely different. It was interesting. It's a place to visit. Wouldn't want to live there. No offense.
Have you ever been on vacation outside of the States?
Canada. All in Quebec.
Do you speak French? No, you don't speak French.
I don't speak any language. Like I said, I had a hard enough. She said, "Well, yeah, but the Spanish they're teaching you, that's proper Spanish." I said, "You still could have helped me."
There you go. So if you're gonna watch a movie, are you gonna watch a movie at home or are you gonna go out?
Oh no, I'll watch it at home.
Yeah. And do you have anybody that joins you watching your movies at home?
Sometimes I will force my wife to watch movies with me, even though her and I we have nothing in common. We don't like the same music, we don't like the same movies, we don't like the same TV shows, nothing. And it's funny because we would go see concerts, and I've seen Neil Diamond. I saw Neil Diamond 3 times in concert, and she never went with me because she doesn't like Neil Diamond. Now, if I told her I didn't like Neil Diamond, that I hated Neil Diamond, she'd tell me she loved Neil Diamond. But as soon as I told her I really love an artist, no, I don't like that artist. But she did drag me to 3 U2 concerts. Experience. I still remember there was one time she sent me to the record store to buy her a cassette for Def Leppard. And I forgot the name of the band when I got to the record store, and I go there and this guy behind the counter says, "Can I help you?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm looking for a cassette." And he said, "Well, do you want to tell me or do you want me to just guess? Tigers or something?" And he says, "Def Leppard." I said, "Yeah, that's the Def Leppard." It's not leopards, it's leopard. I said, "Why would they name themselves after a disease that your skin falls off?" I said, "And why are they deaf?" And so the guy looked at me and just kind of gave me a look and said, "Do you want it?" And I said, "Yeah." So I brought it home, gave it to my wife. He said, "Do you want to hear this?" And so she played about 10 seconds, and I'm like, "No wonder why they're deaf. I would stick it out. I stop too."
I like Def Leppard. They're a good band. I'm with your wife on that one. Remember, happy wife is a happy life, right?
That's all it is noise.
Oh. So outside of music, I know you do some car shows.
I do. Well, I ran car shows for 25 years.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
And you have your own car, I'm sure.
I'm down to 2 now. 67 Mercury Cyclone.
Nice. Big block engine.
Big block engine, yes.
We like a big engine. Yeah.
The go fast.
Did it have that passing gear on it where you know, that little spot underneath the accelerator and you hit it and it went?
She was quick. I
Yeah.
enjoyed her. And then my 66 Mustang was probably my second favorite.
Nice. That's a gorgeous car. Was your 66 Mustang a convertible or?
No, it was just a hard time.
Ah.
But that was a go fast car too. Curie. I had the stereo I had, and there was quadraphonic sound.
Nice.
So each speaker, there were 4 speakers in there, and each speaker was on a separate channel.
You know, there's been a song written for each of those. There's the David Lindley wrote the Mercury Blues.
Mercury Blues is the one that Alan Jackson sang.
Yeah, he's remade it.
Yes.
And then, of course, there's Mustang Sally.
Oh.
Yeah.
I never cared for that song. I never really loved that song.
I love Mustang Sally. I love that. But I really like the car. So I think, you know, when I hear Mustang Sally, I think about the car.
Okay. But if you want to know the very first hot rod song ever made, very first hot rod song, 1954, Big Boy Grooves on the Sparks record label. It was called I Got a New Car, and it was all about this guy who plops down money on a brand new Cadillac and then can't afford the $128 monthly payments on the car. And the last line of the song became a classic when he said, "Next car I get is a car I can afford." And when I mean afford, I mean afford. The whole hot rod music scene in the late 50s, early 60s.
Wasn't there another one called a Hot Rod Lincoln?
Yeah, Commander Cody covered that in 1973.
Oh, I always thought it was about the car.
No. Now, Paul Peters did a song, SS 396 in 1966. They never released it. That was a promo record for GM. Nice.
Well, then of course there was Prince, Little Red Corvette.
Yeah.
That was a good song.
Okay song. That was probably one of the last songs, and I guess I'm not a fan of Bruce Springsteen. I'm really not. I mean, I liked him when he first came out in the scene, and he had The River and Greetings from Asbury Park and Darkness at the Edge of Town. Stopped listening to him once he became mainstream and sold out. But on the Darkness album, the last song on the album was Racing in the Streets, which is still one of my favorite songs. I
love that song.
I mean, they'll never play it on the radio because it's a 7-minute long song, but it's such a great song.
Wasn't there one about pink Cadillacs too?
Yeah, Dwight Yoakam did that.
No, that's a remake. Who did the original?
I'm trying to remember who did the
I thought it was a lady that sang the Pink Cadillacs. Was it like the Supremes or something like that?
No, it wasn't. I forget the name of the band. Well, there were a couple of groups back in the 60s. One did Black and White Thunderbird, and then there was Pink Cadillac, and there were a whole bunch of different groups.
Yeah, there were. Well, you know, when you write a song about a car, it just takes you to wherever you've been with that car, or whoever, you know, wherever you've been when you've seen the car, whether you've been in the car, you know, it just,
one of the great things about music, that I think the thing I really love about music is that it utilizes all your senses.
It
So it
does.
utilizes your sense of smell, taste, everything. So when you hear a song, it takes you back. You can remember what you were doing, where you were at, the scenery around you. You can even remember the smells, every part of your brain.
It's pretty interesting how it actually does use every part of your brain.
It really
Yeah.
does. I mean, stop and think when you hear a song on the radio, and if you stop and think about it, you can remember everything. Like I remember when Terry Jack side of the road.
Mm-hmm.
You could still smell the snow when I hear the song.
Well, and that's always a good test for a song is to take it for a test drive. I put it on in my truck and I drive around and I turn it loud and I see if I like it.
Normally, when people send me, I will listen to a song for 15 seconds. You got 15 seconds to get me interested in the song. Songs that I really love, because if you don't wow somebody in the first 15, maybe 20 seconds. So if in the first 15 seconds, if it's wowing me, I'll keep listening to it. I might give it a minute.
Yeah, it seems to be the case. It's the 15 seconds, the 15-second rule. Yeah.
Well, you got to wow somebody, because if you put a song out on the radio and the first 15 seconds, if people aren't interested, they're changing the station.
Yep. Yep. We become an instant gratification society of pushing that button.
It's always been like that. I mean, music has always been like that. They got to wow you. They got to keep your attention.
Mm-hmm.
And the people that come out with the 10-minute long songs, which I've had people send me, and I'm like, I can't play it because it's 10 minutes long. And after 2.5 minutes, they've already changed the station because it's a 10-minute long song.
Mm-hmm.
The only person who's ever been able to do a long song and keep people's attention was Harry Chapin.
Oh, yeah. Well, those songs told a story.
They did, and they kept your attention.
They did. They totally did.
And then got in the Garden of Eden, so was In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida.
Oh, well, the music industry, right? There's
Them actually lived the life that they were singing about. Not so much anymore, because music has become so corporate now.
Well, yeah. I kind of like the new music that's out. Some of it's pretty good, but I just say, hopefully that if any of your artists that you're playing right now ever make it, they'll all still remember you, and we'll all be able to reach out and say, "Hey, Phil, I got a new song. Do you want to premiere it?"
that happens all the time. I always get artists. A lot of your artists always have me premiere their new songs, which I'm always grateful for, and I never take it lightly. But I've always, music is a passion, and it's always been a life. But I've always loved good music. I mean, we can go back to the beginning of rock and roll, 1953, when Big Mama Thornton recorded Hound Dog.
Oh, yeah.
Before Elvis recorded it.
Oh, but Elvis really gave that one lift.
He did, but Big Mama Thornton, she was a big woman. She got her start cleaning spittoons in the honky tonks in New Orleans. But big woman, big booming voice. And when she recorded Hound Dog, because that song was written for her, and she performed at the Apollo Theater, and she said, "I should be headlining." And they said, "Why would you be headlining? Nobody knows who you are." So the first night she was there and she performed, nobody would let her off the stage. So the next night she was headlining.
There you go.
And she had a manager that was stealing from her. Imagine that. I mean, can you imagine?
Oh, like that never happens. A manager steals from you or stops your progress because they want to keep you all to themselves, right?
Well, she ended up dying penniless in a boarding house in California, buried in a pauper's grave.
Yeah.
but she's still considered the mother of rock and roll, and the father of rock and roll was Big Joe Turner with Shake, Rattle, and Roll. He did that originally before Bill Haley covered it the following year.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
he had said if I had known their version was going to be that good, I never would have released mine. So
Difference. There's people that are looking to get paid to get the spins, and that's not legal. But then there's the DMDS, which is legal, and it does get your songs out to the radio stations and in front of the program directors, right? So that is legal, and it does happen. But here's the thing: is that you can submit a song, and nobody will like it, and
well,
nobody will play it.
there's no guarantee that somebody is going to like your music. You're not guaranteed somebody liking you.
No, no,
All you're
no.
guaranteed is you put it out there, and the best you could hope for is
First time I listened to your show in my truck on the radio, I was like, and of course, it was the internet radio, so I had my Bluetooth on and I had my cell phone going, and I'm like, I'm on the radio in my truck, yay! I'm playing somewhere. I felt like a rock star. I'm like, yeah, my song's playing.
I will always try to play somebody one time as long as the song is radio ready.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as it's mixed and mastered. I will give everybody a chance because, like I said, who am I to decide whether a song is good or not?
Right.
As long as there's no obscene lyrics in it, as long as there's no profanity, as long as it's not a song singing about death or something like that, I'll play it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, that's what my job is, to play music, and I just love music. But I remember, I recorded a song.
Did you?
I did. I
Huh.
wrote, I wrote the song in 1980. It was about a girl, if you can imagine that.
I can't imagine that.
So it only took me 43 years to get around to recording the song. So my friend Donnie, down at After Dark Studios, about an hour south of me, he produced the song for me, and he played all the instruments on the song.
Hmm.
And I thought it turned out. Sometimes I even play it, but I didn't record it under my own name. I recorded it under Otis and the Gaslighters because I figured this way, if nobody liked it and they all said, God, that song's terrible, I'd be like, yeah, I don't know who they are.
Well, would we be able to ask you for a copy of that song and we can play little pieces of it under your interview?
Uh,
We'd love that. Thank you, Phil.
yeah, do that. I'll send you. I'll send you out a copy of it.
Yay.
Sometimes I even remember to send it. Sometimes I even remember to play it on my show.
Whoa. Nice.
But not all the
Nice.
time. Trust me, not all the time. But no, it's a passion.
So
Yeah.
tell us about that songwriting process for you. Was it exciting for you to write the song or?
It was my senior year of college. I was there for the summertime. I was going out with this girl. And funny story about it. I mean, that's what the song is about. I met this girl, if you can imagine that.
Whoa.
Um,
Was she pretty?
oh God, oh yeah.
Really?
She took my breath away the moment I saw her. Because I went with my friend. We went to one of the local gin joints in town. And we walk in, and there's this girl sitting at this table talking to a whole bunch of people. And I looked at my friend, and I said, I got to meet her. And he said, just follow my lead. So we're standing behind her and this guy who's chatting her up. And I look at my friend, and I'm like, what time is it? So my friend takes his hand, and he had a drink in his hand, and he drops the drink in this guy's lap to tell me the time. And the guy jumped up and looked at Rich. And I guess I should qualify the fact that Rich was on the weightlifting team.
Oh.
The guy got up, looked at Rich, and figured maybe tonight isn't the night I want to die. So he went to clean himself up. And as soon as he got up, I sat down. I had gonads back then.
Wow.
we're talking, and Rich tells me, "Yeah, I'm heading out. You coming with?" I said, "No, I'll have her drive me home." So she drove me home. She gave me her number, and I waited a couple of days and called her, and she says, um, "We need to talk." And I'm like, "Yeah, normally I get that after the first date." I said, "So this is the first. Before a date, we need to talk." And she said, "Well, I shouldn't have given you my number. I was drunk. I'm engaged." I said, "I don't want to marry you. I just want to hang out with you." So we would talk every day after, because we both had classes until noon, and so we would talk every day at 12. About 12:30, we'd talk to each other. So eventually we went out on a date, and I tried something, and she said, "I don't think we should see each other anymore." And I said, "Okay." So the next day she calls me up and says, "Why didn't you call me?" I said, "Because you told me you didn't want to talk to me anymore." And she said, "No, no, no, we could try that again. We could try that again." And so that 3 or 4 times until finally things advanced. And she was engaged. And if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do something with gusto. So she was engaged to the wrestling coach at the University of Wisconsin.
Oh,
If I'm going to
gosh.
do something, I'm going to do it good. If I'm going to die,
Oh,
I'm dying, at the top of the heap.
yeah.
So we went out, and I kept telling her, you should break up with your fiance. You and me get married. And she's like, "Oh yeah, my parents would love me bringing home a white guy." And I'm like, "I'm not that white. I'm more olive skin." And she said, "Do you have a Spanish surname?" And I said, "Well, Felipe." And she said, "Do you have a Spanish last name?" I said, "No." "Do you speak Spanish?" I said, "Well, you know that." "No." And she said, "Yeah, my parents would love me in the song, okay?"
Well, Maria seems to be that name, doesn't it?
Yes, yes.
Maybe
But
if
she
I
was
was
cute.
named Maria, somebody might write a song about me.
Like Maria, take a letter, Maria.
Yeah, yeah.
With music, she really doesn't.
But she does understand your fascination with dogs, so that's pretty cool.
And she doesn't understand my fascination with music or cars.
But dogs, she understands.
Dogs, she understands, but music. If it's not a passion, you shouldn't be doing it.
100%.
Because if you're doing it for fame or fortune, it's never gonna work. Because fame is fleeting and define fortune. Everybody's got a different idea of fortune, but there's so many people that get into the business thinking it's an easy way, that they're going to have the big house on the hill and the chauffeurs and the planes, and it never works.
And I was told that I should not pursue my passion of music, and I should become a biochemist and a genetic engineer so I could get a job in agriculture. But then there's an app for that now. So agriculture's got an app for that. So now I'm pursuing music, and it's more plausible than my agriculture, biochemistry, and genetics degree was, because there's an app for that. We really don't care about your opinion. We really don't care about your years of experience. Even though you got 25 years, we have an app for that, and it's better than you are, because we've got an app. We can just ask it. We don't have to pay it, right? But anyways, I digress.
Well, if you're not doing music because it's a passion, it's never going to work.
Right.
Because you do it because whether one person listens to you or 1 million people listen to you, and whether you make a dime or you make $1 million.
Well, and the thing with music is it'll wake you up in the middle of the night. You got to write a song. I'm the piano. Or blowing my horn. That's the other one I like to do in the middle of the night. Yeah, it cost me a couple marriages too.
If you're not doing it because it's a passion, you're in the wrong profession.
Right.
But back in the day, artists, record labels used to find their talent at music festivals.
Right.
They don't do that anymore. Back in the day when Woodstock, I always go back to, "Hey, can you hang on for 1 second? I gotta let the dog out."
Okay.
Hang on. Don't go away. Don't go away. Blade. Come here, Blade. Don't go away. I'm letting them out. He picks the most inopportune time, but he's old, and I don't want him having an accident.
Well, no, he'd be embarrassed if he had an accident. But hey, who let the dogs out? Woof, 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 woof.
He would not care, trust me. He would not care. I'm back. So anyway, I always go back to 1970, Woodstock, Melanie Safka, who went by the name. She went to Woodstock. She was not scheduled to perform at Woodstock, but she went there with her acoustic guitar in hopes that she'd be able to perform. And as luck would have it, it was raining that day. And for some bizarre reason, the thought of getting on a wet metal stage, plugging electric guitars into electric amps did not thrill most of the artists. They didn't want to get electrocuted, and Dot wrote Lay Down Candles in the Rain. And she got up and performed it in the rain. And by the time she was done, she had 3 record labels fighting over her. In the 1970s, she had gone solo, and so she was performing at Woodstock, and she was the last one to perform for the day. And so all the record executives had all left except for one. And so she got up and sang Me and Bobby McGee, and by the time she was done, she had a signed contract in her hand.
Nice.
So, I mean, but the artists back then, that's how the labels used to find their talent, people who actually had talent. And today, it's not that. It's how many followers do you have on social media?
Yep.
Which is really a shame because the talent takes a back seat. It's just how many people do you know?
Well, you know, these days, a record label is looking for somebody that's already made it before they decide to sign you.
Right.
But you know, if you've already made it and then you sign your rights to a record label, they can either play you or shelf you. And a lot of times people get shelved and they get that beautiful deposit, and then that deposit is a deposit into their future. It is a repayable loan. And so many people fall into that trap of having to repay a loan that their music never paid. The artist, I can see, you know, you can see who you want to see, you can date who you want to date, you can play what you want to play, you can change your style, you can do anything you want, right?
You are going to recoup.
Right.
So they might give you a $10,000 advance in the hope that you're going to earn them a lot more than $10,000.
But it is an advance, and if you don't earn them that $10,000, you owe them that $10,000, and it's actually a lot more than 10 grand nowadays. It's more up in the challenge about 250,000 is usually what it is.
What they'll do is if they give you a $10,000 advance and they shelve the project, they'll come back and say, we'd like that $10,000 back. Oh, and also the studio time, which is $20,000. Yeah. So can you write us a check for $30,000 and we'll be even? And if you say, well, I don't have that money, not a problem. You'll just work it off.
Yeah.
They own you for basically for the rest of your life. You become an indentured servant. And then when you say, well, if I go on tour, no, that doesn't count. That's totally separate. This is just record sales.
Yeah.
You're never going to get out from under it until your contract runs out. And they've written the contracts that you sign a 3-year contract with them and read the fine print. And it says they have the option to renew your contract twice for 3 years each time, which comes out to 9 years. A friend of mine, she was on The Voice a few years back. And I talked to her dad, I don't know, every week while she was on The Voice. He couldn't tell me anything about the show because of the kind do not win.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because the one who wins, that's the one. One of the things about all those shows like The Voice, America's Got Talent, all those, they've already decided who won before they ever have the first show. They already know. Mm-hmm. They'll do cattle calls for 3 people. Everybody else they've invited on personally. Mm-hmm. So they already know who won. And normally the one who wins is the one you never hear from anymore. Because they own that person and they just, say you get $100,000, they have to approve everything. Mm-hmm. And stop and think of all the people that have won those shows, with the exception of Carrie Underwood and Kelly Clarkson. who have you ever heard from who's won one of those shows?
Never.
Now, you always hear from the one who came in second and third.
2 out of 3 ain't bad. That's what Meatloaf
So,
said.
that's right. Don't want to win. Because
Yeah.
if you win, no one's going to ever hear from you again.
Cool. Thank you for the advice, Phil. Phil, I know that you're always accepting new artists. Is there any way that we can get in touch with you to send our music there to you?
Phil Kranz at cs.com.
All right.
PHILKRANZ at cs.com. That's short for CompuServe. I was one of the first people to go on CompuServe, and I think I'm the last person on CompuServe.
Yeah, it's an older email address and an older email domain. Can we find you on Facebook too and reach out to you and make a friend, or?
Indie radio show. I never go on that page.
Right, but the Phil Kranz show we should go on.
Phil Kranz, yeah, my personal page. Go on that. You'll see everything I do, and
Yeah.
I do things different than other people. I post my playlist song by song, and I do have a method to my madness, on my 20. Because rather than have people go on a whole sheet and vote, 5 times a day on each device they've got for a week, I don't do that. You have to like the post, and you can only like a post one time. Self-promoting is bragging, but no, self-promoting is self-promoting, because if you don't promote yourself, nobody is going to. And all you're doing is saying, hey, listen, I got this song. Why don't you give it a listen? You're not telling people I'm wonderful, I'm the greatest thing in the world. You're just letting people know who you are.
Cool. Thank you, Phil. So we can reach out to you on Facebook at Phil Kranz, and we can email you at philkranz@cs.com. So that's PHILKRANZ at cs.com. And I know that you interview a lot of the artists from big records and Jet Set Media, and we'd just really like to thank you very much for all the support that you give to all of us indie artists. We're so grateful, and thank you so much.
Things in the world where you've got a list of 10 questions, and you're going to ask those questions in that order, come hell or high water. And so, you say, hey, how are you? Terrible. My dog got run over by a truck, my house went down, and my car got repossessed. Great. So tell me, and it's like, are you even listening to the other person? So I like having conversations. I don't like having interviews.
So if you want to have a conversation with Phil and you want that conversation to be broadcast,
let them talk however long they want and whatever they talk about. I don't care. It's not my interview. It's their interview. But the idea is so that if somebody goes to see them in concert, they can sit back and have this smug look on their face like, yeah, I know something about them that nobody else does.
there you go.
It takes people from being fans to being friends, because fans will turn on you in a heartbeat, but friends will stick with you through thick or thin.
They will. They will.
Always better to have friends.
Always better to have friends. Lots of them.
So anything else you want to know about my boring life?
Well, we've had a really nice experience having a conversation with you this morning, and we got out of you that you wrote a song, and we're going to get a chance to listen to that. So we're all excited. Thank you, Phil.
I thought I sent you that song before.
You have, but you haven't really self-promoted it. So
why would I self-promote my own song? I mean, come on.
Right, but you want all of us artists to do that too, right? That's what we have to do.
That's different. Your art. I'm not. I recorded a song because every DJ out there on the planet has a song, and I said I need a song.
There you go.
So that was it. So that's why I recorded it, and I play it every so often, not as often as I should, because. But if you want a song played, can I tell you the easiest way to get a song played on radio? And people will think this is weird, but that's okay. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. So if you want somebody to play your song, contact them and ask them, hey, will you play my song? because I've had people send me links. They've sent me YouTube videos, they've sent me Spotify, Apple, and I'm like, can't play it. That's illegal. That's called stealing music. You have to send me the MP3 in an email. That's your permission for me to play your song.
Thank you.
But if can you play my song? I'm like, sure. Because it shows that they're interested in having their song played, and I'll definitely play it. If you reach out and ask me to play your song, I'll play it.
Nice.
Because that means that you're paying attention and you want your music played. I love you, and you're my favorite person out there.
Thank you, Phil.
You just keep on playing. You just keep on sending me music, and I'll keep on playing it. But one real quick thing, I said the first 45 I ever bought was from the Outsiders.
Right.
And I've interviewed the Outsiders. Because I think I've talked to them, 3 times, Rick and Lois.
Yeah.
And every time I would talk to them, I'd be like, you do realize that when you came out with that song, I was 8 years old. Does that make you feel old? So I just think it's great that there's artists out there that are, after all these years, they're still doing music.
Well, if you love music, music is part of who you are, and you just can't turn it off.
Well, I've got a good friend of mine back up in Chicago, and he's been doing music his whole life. Since the I think he first record was 1961, and he had met Dick Biondi, who was one of the biggest DJs in Chicago, and he became friends with Dick Biondi, and Dick Biondi introduced him to the New Colony Six, which was a big band in Chicago, and they were lucky enough to have a couple of national top 10 hits in 69, 70. And he's still doing music. I mean, he's lucky he's never had a job in his life. And we used to go out to dinner every Thursday night. And one time he said, yeah, I'm thinking of retiring. I said, from what? And he said, well, I said, what job do you have? And he said, I'm an entertainer, baby. I said, Ronnie, getting up on stage singing your songs 2-3 times a week, that's not a job. That's a hobby. Now, do you have a job? He says, well, not the way you put it. I said, then you got nothing to retire from. And we'd go out to eat, and my wife would come with us sometimes, and he'd come in and he'd have to shake everybody's hands and say hi to everybody, and I'd stand up and yell, hey, fat boy, you want to come and order, and then you can go pretend you're a star? And he'd say, well, people want to see me. I'm like, Ronnie, nobody wants to see you. You're bothering everybody. You're annoying everybody. Just sit down and order your food. And my wife would look at him and say, how can you be friends with him? He's so mean to you. And he'd be like, I'm like, you tip the scale at 300 pounds, an earthquake ain't going to move you. But when I did get into radio down here, I was mentored by one of the biggest names in radio in the Chattanooga area, Tommy Jett. He signed WFLI on the air in 1961. And at the height of his career, he had an 80 share, which means 80% of the radios that were turned on were listening to him.
Nice.
And he said, how did you handle the fame? And he said, how many times does the Bible say be humble? I said, a lot. He said, always be humble. He said, nobody likes a braggart. He said, and always be nice. He said, if you walk in a room and nobody knows you, by the time you leave, everybody should know your name, but be nice and be humble and don't brag. And he said, and always treat everybody like your long lost friend.
Mm-hmm. And
I'd be out with him and people would come up and say, Tommy Jett. And he'd be talking to them and they'd leave. And I'd be like, who is that? He says, I don't have a clue. But remember, always treat everybody like they're your friends.
Mm-hmm.
But be nice. He said, and never brag. He said, and never use I or me by that. Nice.
Thank you, Phil.
So there you go. Now you know what got me my start in radio out here.
Yay, for all that you do, for all the indie artists that I know and I refer to you. And I'm grateful for all you do for me too. Thank you, Phil.
Well, you keep making the music and I'll keep playing them. How does that sound?
Sounds like a plan. I'm in.
Well, listen, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to bore everybody for the last hour.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's I see, you see, we see. Grazie. You say that?
I see, you see, we see, grazie.
Yeah. I see, you see, we see. Grazie.
There, okay, okay. For having me on. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I got to spend time with you this morning.
Thank you so much.
And you're wearing clothes.
I always wear clothes. I like clothes. Thank you. I'm never going to live that one down, am I?
I got to laugh when you told me, when you sent me the album cover and you said, see, look, I'm wearing clothes. And I'm like, that's very good. That's very nice.
Well, that was after I released that song called Seashore Blues. And it's like, there's a line in there that said, I'm so sorry. I just don't care. I just want to wear my underwear. And, like when I wrote that song, I was thinking about, like the pajama parties where you're, wearing your underwear and your tank top and you're dancing around on the bed and you're, having a pillow fight. That was my idea of I want to dance around in my underwear. It wasn't like wearing fancy lingerie and getting on stage in front of like millions of people, right? Like that's not what I was writing the song about. I was writing the song about, being home and in your underpants and jumping up and down on your bed and just being like a kid, right?
Okay. Okay.
So no, I'm never gonna live that down. Yeah, I am wearing
You are
clothes.
It's like Brandy never gonna live down what her mother wanted to name her.
And to find that out, you'll have to listen to one of Phil's past shows.
The Wednesday night's episode of The Dork, and you will find that out.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I
Phil
love
has a couple shows. He's got the Monday morning and the Wednesday morning at
and that's Black Star Radio. That's me and my friend Trish from Black Star Radio, from Starfire's Country. Monday night is that 70s radio show, which is 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern, and that we spin the greatest music from 1970. Tuesday night is Black Dog Indie Top 20 Countdown, and that is from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern. Wednesday night is The Dorks. That's me. My buddy Scotty, who I've known for 30 years. We both DJ'd in Chicago for years, and our paths always crossed. And of course, all the way from Canada, our very own Kim Thompson. So we're all dorks, and if you ever check it out, you'll know why we call it the Dorks. And then Saturday night is Sock Hop Coast to Coast, where we spin the greatest music from 1956 to 1967, and that's 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern, and that's on WAAKradio.com.
Thank you very much.
So now you know everything I do, and that's why people say, hey, can we get together? And I'm like, I got the most screwed up schedule on the planet. I really do.
Well, we thank you. Thank you, Phil.
It's a labor of love, but I'll let you go because I know you got things you got to do, and otherwise I will keep on talking and you will just pull the plug on me. So,
well, we just don't want Marco, who's our producer, to be late for dinner because it's like it's dinner time in Italy right now, right?
Well, we don't want him being late for dinner. I don't want him yelling at me.
Okay, so I see, you see, we see. Grazie.